Today we see a very simple covered jar concept. We start with our clay. We utilize the Kopp's method in centering. Elbows on our legs. You get your control from your elbows. We've centered it. When we've got it centered, we can open. You can use your thumbs, or you can also use your hands and your fingers to open. I like to compress the bottom clay. I use a sponge to do that. We're ready to start pulling. Most forms on the wheel start with a cylinder. Once we have our cylinder, we start preparing the lip of the vessel for the lid. And this is called a register. Some people refer to it as a lid seat. And I put the lid seat in the lip before we start shaping the jar. I will show you a couple ways to open or make the lid seat. One technique is to use your thumb connected to your finger on the inside, support on the outside with your other hand, and we push the thumb down to create the register. The other technique is to use a wooden tool to aid in the formation of the register by just simply pushing the round end of your modeling tool down. Notice how my hands are connected, always working together with my elbows on my legs for support. Once we have the lid register in place, we can now finish our jar and prepare to do our lid. Shaping the jar is just like shaping any other form. Inside pressure going out makes the form go out. If you push in, the form goes in. And sometimes it's kind of fun to play with form. And so allow yourself to explore the many possibilities of creating shape. Sometimes I'll even use a potter's rib to help aid in the shaping process. And now we're ready to make or prepare for the lid. Commonly used is a pair of calipers, and I want to get a measurement where the horizontal register meets the vertical lip of the form. And there, that's a pretty good measurement. to just make a couple final little adjustments to the form before I'm done, and remove the water from the inside. Prepare to cut the bottom free. And now we're ready to make our lid. Center the lid clay. And actually this is a very simple, common lid system. But I plan to have a little bit of fun with this. The normal, there's two components that make up a lid. The first component is the knob, and the second component is the lip that will sit in the register in the jar. One way to make a knob is by simply going off center and pushing down with your finger, and that makes the knob pop up. But I'm going to show you another little more advanced way to make a knob that's kind of fun to see. We can open up the lid right to the back, and you can see the surface of the bat. And then we split the clay to make a wall. Kind of looks like a big candle holder. And we'll start to throw this knob clay vertically. At this point, sometimes it's just good to take our caliper and get an idea of where the diameter of the lid will be. So periodically you can check through the process. And maybe even I'll start the formation of this lip. Now I don't think I want all of this clay, so I'm going to just take a little bit off. And I'll proceed with my knob. I like to finish the knob first. This is referred to as an enclosed knob. I'm coaxing the clay in by using outside pressure from my outside finger. And in the spirit of the jar I made, I'll let my knob also have some movement. And then we'll start to close this off. There's a little bit of wet clay on the inside of the knob. Before I close it off, I want to remove that soft clay with my wooden modeling tool. So when I finish closing it off, we don't have water in between that connection, because that'll create weakness. Once you have trapped air inside the knob, it actually gives strength to the handle or the knob. I'm going to look at the side perspective of the knob just to look at the shape, and I'm thinking of even the shape of my jar that I made. I'm going to actually snip that clay off because I'm making that aesthetic decision to round that top off more. And that's the delight of throwing. We can make decisions instantly as we're working. So our knob or handle for the lid is done, and now I can finish the lip that will sit on the register. I bring this clay outward, I lift it up, and before I actually make the lip to fit on the jar register, I'll flatten, or I'll measure it, and then I'll flatten this out. Take my calipers and check on the diameter, and we're sitting pretty good. Sometimes we might just want to flatten this a little bit with the wooden modeling tool. We can undercut it. I see a little moisture on the inside of the lid. I'm just going to let my sponge track in there so I can pick up that moisture. You don't want that water standing there. And we're done. And I just need to take my wire tool now and cut this free. We'll let it dry to leather hard, and then we can trim our lid upside down in our jar.